Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Bring this like this real quick. Let me say this right before I get started. Canelo and Terence Crawford are two amazing fighters. Canelo's been catching a lot of flack. But, it made me stop and think, just how great was Canelo, how great is he now? But there are so many people, when it comes to Canelo Alvarez, they're saying that they felt he was a manufactured champion, that he was never that great. But when I ask somebody who tells me that or leaves something like that in the comments, I'm like, okay, expound. You got to be able to justify it. You make a statement like that about a guy who's been the face of boxing for over a decade. You got to be able to justify it. And you know what I find out more times than not? They can't. It's full of emotion. Just like when they say Floyd Mayweather never fought anybody. Floyd Mayweather was a cherry picker. Floyd Mayweather was a runner. Floyd Mayweather had no talent. He had no power. It's like my man. You ever watched the first 25 fights of Floyd Mayweather? Most cats haven't. De La Hoya, you ever watch his first 25 fights? Shane Mosley, Zab Judah, Manny Pacquiao, Barrera, Marquez, Sugar Ray Leonard, Hagler, Roy Jones. I can go on and on. You ever gone and look at these guys? We ain't even talking about the heavyweights of guys from the 1950s, 60s, and 70s. So I just think people need to do their due diligence, man. And also, really get spun up on the sport of boxing to know what you're looking at before you just come out here and tear these guys down. But at the end of the day, a conversation is never off limits with me. So let's minimize me so we can see what really matters here is Canelo and Crawford, the two guys who stole the show this past weekend. And because of how the fight went, with Terence Crawford doing the business, so many people are asking the question now, was Canelo ever that good? So let's start with the myth, okay? Make this a little bit bigger, man. I don't really want you to see my face, it doesn't matter. Okay, but for over a decade, Canelo Alvarez was marketed as boxing's golden boy. Not De La Hoya, but Canelo, the face of the sport, the Mexican warrior who unified divisions and sold out stadiums, and he did that. His resume is stacked. It's stacked. Fought Triple G 3 times, Miguel Cotto, Kovalev, Daniel Jacobs, Caleb Plant, all wins. Held titles in 4 weight classes, unified 168 pounds in, I think it was 18 months. Just when you stop there and you want to ask, was Canelo ever that good? Just look at those accomplishments. Of course, a lot of us have an opinion about the Triple G fights, especially the first 2, but it doesn't matter. He got in there, he did the business. But people are asking, man, especially after what happened, the Terence Crawford fight, they're like, hey, was Canelo ever really that good? Or whether he was simply the best marketed fighter of this era? Now, one thing we know is Canelo's career has always had layers to it. You got to look out there in Guadalajara, Jalisco. Turned pro at 15. Fought 60 plus times. Built a global brand, made multiples of millions of dollars. But when you peel back the record, many would say you see patterns. They say he struggled against slick boxers. When he fought Floyd Mayweather, was it competitive? To a certain point, but Floyd definitely took him to school when he fought Erislandy Lara. Was it competitive? Yeah, he beat him. But But if Lara would have thrown 10 or 15 more punches around, Lara would have beat him. So to me, Lara lost his right to complain because you just can't run, you know what I'm saying, and expect to win. Especially when a guy like Canelo's chasing after you, running after you, and you're running from him. Like, you're not going to win a fight that way. When he fought Dimitri Bivol, he struggled big time. And then now you saw with Crawford, again, struggling. But he often fought smaller men, moving up in weight. Okay? That's a reality. He did that. In some cases, like the first Triple G fight and the Lara fight, you know, many fans believe he lost but got favorable decisions. Imagine the trajectory Canelo would have been on had he lost, to me, the first two Triple G fights. If he would have lost to Lara, he wouldn't be in this position he's in right now. Would he still be a boxing pay-per-view draw? Of course. The face of boxing? I don't know. But just a loss doesn't define you. You know what I'm saying? You can, especially if you're in a competitive fight like how Canelo's been in all his fights, maybe it would have given him even more respect. That he fought hard, lost, came back, fought again, fought hard, won, fought hard, lost. They probably put more respect on his name. So the bottom line is, when you think about some of the rehydration clauses, catch weights, bringing smaller men up, gift decisions, was Canelo ever that good? I think the answer is yes, but with caveats. He was elite with his timing. No matter what you think, Canelo has always had elite timing. His body punching second to none, and ring control was spot on. But although he had these great qualities, he was never the most adaptable. And you saw it this weekend, this past weekend. He was never the fastest. You've always seen that in his fights. As far as getting off one shot at a time, those shots come out very fast, but combination punching, he slowed. As far as defensive, he could be hit. High guard, it was effective, but he could be hit. So he was great, not untouchable, and unfortunately, Crawford proved that. So as a result of Crawford getting the win, it sparks a huge debate. So now you look at the aftermath. Terence Crawford, he wasn't supposed to win that fight. He was not supposed to win. Jumped up 2 weight classes, Independence Day weekend, did the business against Canelo. Crawford ain't coming in to survive. He came in there to dominate, and that he did. Outboxed Canelo, won exchanges, made him look one-dimensional. You look at the scorecards. They were going to jerk Crawford if he didn't pick it up down the stretch. 116, 112 for one card, and 2 cards, 115, 113. The fight felt wider to most of us watching it because the damn fight was wider. Crawford landed more punches, cleaner shots, controlled the pace. It is what it is. But now that win for Crawford sparked a debate, and that shit is now echoing across boxing. Is Crawford the greatest of this generation? Some are saying yes. Some are saying he's the best to ever put on a pair of gloves. Some are saying he's better than Floyd Mayweather. Some are saying he's the new face of boxing. But out of all of that, you could kind of understand some of those opinions of people, right? But the one thing that's been the most controversial, as far as what's been echoing across boxing, is, hey, this guy Canelo, was he ever truly elite? Or just a product of matchmaking and marketing? And let me tell you something. That's a slap in Crawford's face. Because now you're trying to say Crawford really isn't that good of a fighter. Because he beat someone who maybe wasn't that great. He couldn't have been that great if Crawford beat him. And that's horrible. So now they're saying basically that Canelo was never elite and Crawford is not elite. Crawford, stars just lined up because he was the one with the big name that happened to get his hands on Canelo, who was a product of matchmaking and marketing, and Crawford just had the stamina and enough skill to expose it all. I don't agree with that at all. I'm just going to be crystal clear. But Max Kellerman said something, and maybe he said it best. Every era has that guy, and I'll be honest with you. I think Crawford's just that guy. Andre Ward, he loved him, and Shakur Stevenson can't get enough of Terence Crawford. He called it a fight of the century clinic. And, there are a lot of fans across social media, they declared the debate over. Crawford didn't just beat Canelo, he redefined greatness. Crawford is the GOAT. He became the first male fighter to unify 3 divisions in the 4-belt era. He did it with humility, skill, courage. But the debate continues. Some fans say Canelo was past his prime. Others say Crawford's resume before this fight was thin. And others still argue that Canelo's legacy is secure, regardless of this loss. But nothing wrong with a conversation, and that's the beauty of boxing. You can get a guy who rises from the ashes like the phoenix and can go on to rewrite history. One night can shift the narrative, and that's exactly what happened. Crawford versus Canelo was that night. You know what? This is really, I think, going to go on, especially over the next couple months, to be one of the most emotionally charged debates in boxing. And these conversations are going to cut deeper than just a matter of somebody wins and somebody loses. The skepticism around Canelo Alvarez, his greatness, especially among some Mexican fans and boxing purists, I think that stems from a mix of cultural expectations. You look at stylistic preferences, perceived promotional manipulation. But why do some experts question Canelo's greatness? Like, that shit it's just odd to me. Many boxing analysts, including voices like Teddy Atlas, he always got a damn opinion. They've argued that Canelo's overrated because of how he looked against elite opposition. Teddy Atlas pointed to fights like the third Triple G bout and lost to Bivol, saying Canelo couldn't dominate or adjust when he faced high-level resistance. The critique isn't that Canelo isn't skilled, it's that his greatness was often framed by matchmaking and timing. He fought Kovalev after a brutal war with Yardy. He fought Triple G when he was aging. He avoided slick movers like Andrade and Prime Charlo. So the question becomes, was Canelo's dominance real or curated? Now, with Mexican fans, I told you guys in a couple of YouTube shorts in the video I did the other day, there are a lot of Mexican fans jumping ship. Some feel that Canelo isn't a real Mexican. That shit is crazy to me to hear. But people are ignorant. Say he was manufactured, he's European, he's not a real Mexican like Chavez, like Barrera, like Marquez, like Morales. I'm like, damn. Somebody even said like Munguia. Sounds to me like a little bit of colorism because they just look at Canelo and see his complexion compared to those guys. And as a result, it's like he's not Mexican enough. And that to me just really offends the shit out of me that you got people out here who will say something like that about Canelo. I just think that's horrible. But it's a reality Canelo dealt with as a kid, so it's nothing new. Maybe that's why he just is like whatever. He's been hearing that since he's been a little kid with that red hair and freckles. They call him cheese hair, tangerine hair, carrot head, all kind of shit. But I think it goes beyond boxing, man. Canelo doesn't fit the mold of the traditional Mexican fighter. You know what I'm saying? From his appearance to his fighting style. He's not a volume puncher like Chavez. He doesn't fight with reckless abandon like Antonio Barrera, Eric Morales. He's calculated, defensive, he's business-minded. That rubs some fans the wrong way. If you go look at some of these little chat rooms and these little websites that allow people to create threads, you'll see that many Mexican fans feel Canelo is a television product. Fighter built by marketing, not by grit. They say he's too polished, too bougie, too protected, too disconnected from the working class warrior. image that defines Mexican boxing. And then a lot of them cats are hoping that he loses. And this weekend they were celebrating Canelo's loss, which I think is horrible. I do think it's a bit of a crab in a bucket effect. They had a guy who played soccer out there in Mexico. His name was Hugo Sanchez. He's a legend. He once said Mexicans' worst enemies are other Mexicans. And that sentiment echoes in Canelo's story. His wealth, fame, lighter skin tone have made him a target of envy and division. Some fans feel he was handed opportunities others had to bleed for. But just, there's a reality here we got to deal with. Manufactured or masterful. The truth is, a guy like Canelo, was he ever that good? Yeah, he was. But he is a little bit manufactured and a whole lot masterful. He's both. And that's what every promoter's dream is, to have someone who they can have the machine get behind him and push him because he's marketable, but also can kick ass. He's a product of elite promotion, yes, but he's also a disciplined, skilled, and courageous fighter. He does the business. You don't fight and survive 67 fights, unified divisions, beat 20 world champions without being great. So just hold your horses and stop taking it to the stupid. But the reality is, Crawford's win exposed the limit of that greatness. It showed that when the marketing phase, the ring tells the truth. And Canelo right now, he's dealing with that. And fans are not, they're not letting anything slide. But when it comes to me and Canelo, in my opinion, when we asked the question, was Canelo ever that good? He was that good then. He's that good now. I just think he needs to bring another set of eyes in, another strategist to help Reynoso. And I think Canelo continues where he left off. I think he should go into that rematch with Crawford. But he's got to make a change. Can't just go in with the same game plan. And next you know, Canelo will be right back in the driver's seat. But you better believe Crawford ain't trying to lose. Crawford ain't trying to lose. Anyway, y'all keep cool. Put some respect on Canelo's name. A little bit manufactured, plenty masterful. When you bring that together, you get what we have. I'm going to say we still have in Canelo. You get the face of boxing in the breeze.